Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is David Frank, and I help experts create world-class brands and show them how to increase revenue by selling and marketing more effectively. And I'm going to ask a big question for this marketing minute. Is this the end of public places? That's right. With this pandemic and with business shifting so quickly, are you in a business that relies on crowds? Are you somebody who relies on crowds? Are you a person, are you a restaurant that was next to the concert venue? Are you a retailer that relied on traffic because of big beach days or a busy street or a big shopping center? Are you an expert that provides things in these crowds? Big concerts, for example, all the professionals that go along with that. Is it over for that? Is the big crowd thing over? And I'm asking myself that because I got invited to go do this thing that's totally legal with it's a sporting event thing that I have to go to. And they're taking all these precautions, but I can sense, with the people I'm going with, the anxiety of going into a crowd, and especially going and eating out in a crowd, any of that kind of stuff, a lot of anxiety. So could it be that the world of crowds in physical places has ended? And by the time that these come back, are people going to want to do that? Are they going to feel safe wanting to go out and do that? Or are we going to shift into a new paradigm? So what do you do if you're an expert and you rely on crowds? I think what you have to do is you have to figure out a way in order to give a single experience in a group setting, but somewhat segmented. Now, everybody has gone out and seen these dots that are on the floor, and they've seen this and they've said, okay, you're going to stand 6 feet apart, right? And I know people are very leery about that. They're like, do I really want to do that? I'm not quite sure. Like, is it safe? Should I be 12 feet apart? All this other kind of stuff. So I'm worried about, what I've been thinking about is these actual companies that rely on having crowds. So if you're one of these people, you have to think about, how do we shift that experience of crowds online? Now, I just had a great experience at the very beginning of the pandemic. I'm a part of a big social group. We would meet in public. We'd meet all the time. People would go out after the meetings. We would just have a great time. And people would meet on Saturdays, sometimes during the weekday. And, people talked in between that period of time that we saw each other. But as a big group, people were, they were involved. It was like a church. So people are all in this big group. So now, beginning of the pandemic, that just absolutely disappeared. So what we did is we moved this into a online setting. So we still have the crowds of people wanting to show up at certain times, but we move that online. But are you missing something when you move it online? I think you are, actually. I think you are kind of missing something. And what I found in the marketing execution of this is taking things, it's much more about trying to create these group situations in these crowd settings, right? That means more real estate. That means things are going to be spread out. That means certain things are going to be online and certain things are not. I don't think anymore, I don't see in the near future how people in the inner city are going to want to stand in front of a Cheesecake Factory, 2 feet apart, waiting to go in. So what does that mean if you're in the restaurant business? Does it mean that you are got to have new technology? Are you going to text people when they're ready to go in? That's a really great thing. So you're keeping people together, but you're also keeping them apart at the same time. What about this whole group dynamic? I've been, looking at concerts online and going and seeing things like that, is that going to change? Is that going to shift back? I don't know. But I'll tell you, if I was in the event planning business, I would be moving my event planning business online. I'd be looking for ways to be able to create a group experience online that has some sort of interaction. Now, what can you do online that you can't do in a physical group? You can break people out into individual groups, bring them back into a bigger group. And that's what I'm finding. That's what I'm finding works the best. It's using the crowd all together, right? So maybe it's a teleconference, you're seeing all these different people on a Zoom, and then you're getting them going, and then you're breaking them out into smaller groups. I'm seeing like under 15 to be able to interact and do your thing. So something to think about here, something to definitely think about. The landscape of crowds has changed forever. And how are you going to deal with it? All right. Have a great night. This is Damon Frank. Also, you can check me out at damonfrank.com.